Welcome to the Rotary Club of York. We are a people of action committed to service above self and honoring the four-way test. If you haven't already done so, I would encourage you to silence your cell phones. As we begin today's meeting, I want to remind you that tomorrow is Veterans Day. We welcome each of our club members and guests who are veterans and thank them for their service. I ask that you please remain standing as JT Hand announces the Parade of Veterans, accompanied by Chuck Long.
The United States Army! The United States Marines! The United States Navy! The United States Air Force! The United States Coast Guard! A tribute.
Wait a minute. Coast Guard. I have the Merchant Marine.
The United States Merchant Marine!
Thank you, Chuck. That was fabulous. Rotarians and guests, please remain standing as the color guard from William Penn High School JROTC presents the colors of the United States of America, followed by the opening song and Pledge of Allegiance by Deb Harrison and the evocation by David Lovelace via Zoom. Post the colors.
Veterans, present arms. Playing of the national anthem.
Please join me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Veterans, order, arms.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we honor our veterans, remember, no greater love has anyone than this, to be willing to lay down one's life for another. Please join me in prayer. Almighty God, we remember before you with grateful hearts the men and women of our country who ventured much, including life itself, for the liberties that we enjoy. Grant that we may never forget and always honor the sacrifice of all who serve in the armed forces of this nation. We commend to your care and keeping all the men and women currently serving at home and abroad. Defend them with your grace. Grant them the assurance of your abiding presence. This afternoon, we pray your blessing on this Rotary Fellowship. As we seek to share, may we always remember that we are to serve others above ourselves. During this season of harvest, give us grateful hearts for all our many blessings. We pray in your most holy name. Amen.
And now Tom McCracken to introduce our visitors and guests.
I'm pleased to have the honor of introducing our guest for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Jackie has welcomed you. We have one visiting Rotarian, Mary Jane McCluskey from the Uptown Club. We have retired Brigadier General Phil Drew, guest of our speaker. Captain Campbell Kramer, guest of our speaker. Hope Kramer, guest of our speaker. The following are all guests of the Educational Vocational Guidance Committee, and they're all from the William Penn Jr. ROTC. Major Adam Clark, Cadet Richardson, Cadet Daly, Cadet Vasquez, Cadet Martin, Cadet Tata, Cadet Calixto, Tom Summers, guest of past President Mike Summers, John Hilliard, guest of Jen Brillhart, Kelly Rogers, guest of Jen Brillhart, Sean Skian, guest of Tom Donnelly, and Alice Sloan, guest of Dick Sloan. President Jackie.
We are very grateful to see all of you today. Thank you for joining us for this incredibly special program. We hope that you enjoy the program and that you will return to us many, many times. Rotarians, please help me welcome our guests. Our condolences to Rotarian Mike Anstein and Rotarian Amy Anstein on the death of Mike's wife and Amy's mother-in-law, Marlene Anstein. Congratulations to President-elect nominee Aaron Jacobs on receiving the Susquehanna SCORE Volunteer of the Year Award for 2021. The student education, yes. I love when we have really entertaining and animated guests with us today. Come back often, please. The Student Education Committee will meet today in the old lounge at 1:30. The Rotary Board will meet tomorrow, November 11th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. The IDEA Committee will meet on Monday, November 15th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. The CEF Board will meet next Wednesday, November 17th at 1:30 here at the club. And the Educational Vocational Guidance Committee will meet November 17th, next Wednesday as well at 1:30 here at the club. Courageous Conversations has one slot remaining for this Friday at noon at Fox 43. If you're interested, you can see Chris Toff to sign up for that. As a reminder, there will be no club meeting on November 24th, the day before Thanksgiving. And now, our member moment. Dick Sloan grew up in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania, where his father ran a pharmacy and was active in the Rotary Club. Dick's father served as club president and had 55 years of perfect attendance. He recalls family vacations where his father would seek out local Rotary clubs to attend meetings. Dick's father set a good example for the importance of Rotary, and after Dick retired from the Pennsylvania Air National Guard in 2004, past District Governor Ben Hoover proposed him for membership to our club. Dick graduated from one of the oldest pharmacy schools in the United States, the Philadelphia College of Pharmacy and Science, where his father, wife, and daughter also graduated. Immediately following pharmacy school, he sought out commission in the Air Force. He was already a pilot with more than 300 hours of flying, an instrument rating, and commercial pilot certificate. And after 1 year of intensive pilot training, he flew as a flight surgeon in Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and Iraqi Freedom. He later served as a senior physician in the PA Air National Guard as head medical officer from 1998 to 2004. In addition to his pharmacy training and Air National Guard experience, Dick attended medical school at Penn State College of Medicine in Hershey and completed residency in family medicine at Lancaster General Hospital. He was on faculty both at Lancaster General and Hershey Medical Center. He later joined WellSpan Health, where he worked for 26 years in the discipline of family medicine. His many roles culminated in being appointed the Director of Medical Education, responsible for all of the medical student and residency programs in different specialty areas. He is proud that at least 60 of the graduating physicians he taught chose to actively practice family medicine in York County. Dick was the recipient of the coveted Master Pilot Award in 2014, which is presented to a pilot who continues to fly without any significant lapses or incidents for 50 years and must be accident-free. He has been flying since 1964 and has 6,500 flight hours today. Dick owns a small single-engine plane, which he's flown all over the United States, Canada, and the Bahamas. He and his wife, Alice, have 2 daughters and 7 grandchildren who he's hoping will share his love for flying one day. While his profession was being a physician and a teacher, his avocation is flying and flight. He is strong in his faith and has experienced many spiritual moments watching beautiful sunrises and sunsets from the sky. Dick has tried to pay back what he's been given, but has always felt that he has received far more than he was able to give. Thank you, Dick, for your many years of service to your country and community. You are an exemplary role model and Rotarian. Kelly Gibson, Chair of the Charitable Grants Committee, has a check presentation.
Thank you, Rotarians and guests. Good afternoon. The Charitable Grants Committee is thrilled to present a check to the York County Food Bank today. We are going to be retooling and refining the way that we are impacting our community through our grants process through 2022. But I'm proud to say that the committee really wanted to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our community now. And so they approached Jen and asked for a proposal of what could we do to really help the York County Food Bank impact our community in the growing need of hunger in York County for families. And I'm proud to say that the grant proposal they submitted to our committee for review is really going to more than double the impact of their holiday box program to really serve county and city families in need, as well as have some updated equipment that's going to help them to really see this through for the future. So we're thrilled to present this check to Jen Billhart and her guests from the York County Food Bank today.
So thank you, Kelly. Thank you, everyone in Rotary. On behalf of our board, our staff, our volunteers, but most importantly, the people that we serve, thank you for this continued support. Rotary has been very supportive of all of the work that we've been doing, and especially because this comes at such a critical time in our work. As we move into these colder months, many of the people that we serve are struggling with hunger, but struggling with additional costs that they have, such as heating their houses, these increased food costs that we're hearing about. And our goal is to make sure that everyone in York County, every family is able to have a holiday meal this year. So we work with every school district in York County, and you can know yourselves as you sit down with your families this holiday and sit and have a holiday meal that you are making sure, because of this grant, because of this support, that every family will also be able to experience that in York County this year. So every family, again, through our Give a Meal program, is going to have a frozen turkey and then a holiday meal box, which includes all the sides that you would traditionally find at a holiday meal. So thank you for your support, and that's it.
Thank you, Jen, for your heart, for your passion for this work, and all the great continued work and success in this area of focus for our community. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce past President Mike Summers to introduce our speaker.
The lovely Jackie Summers. Before I get into my official duties today of introducing the speaker, I do want to mention that the program committee will be meeting December 1st. And unlike the table mate of mine who said, I have good ideas I'm going to bring to the meeting, that does not work. So we prefer to have any suggestions ahead of time so that we can sit there and vet them and have a quality list for the committee to review. So this is your fair warning. We do 6-month program blocks. So when you come to me on December 5th and say, I have the best idea, it'll probably be a little late and I'll have to wait for the next 6 months. So please give that some thought. The programs are as good as our membership, and you all are part of the program committee, but we need to have those suggestions in front. Secondly, I'd like to thank all the veterans for their service, but I brought a special guest with me, my dad. So special thanks for him as he served in Korea for us. Now, on to our speaker. Veterans Day was first called Armistice Day to commemorate the ending of World War I. It was first proclaimed by President Woodrow Wilson on November 11th, 1919. In 1954, the United States Congress designated November 11th as Veterans Day to honor all veterans of U.S. wars. Our speaker is Rear Admiral Mary Ann, better known as Mimi Drew, United States Navy retired, who served for 38 years working in the operational military environment and consistently broke through glass ceilings as the first woman to serve in a variety of assignments, including 5 in command. Mimi came to service of our country following the family business, is what I refer to it, as her grandfather graduated from the Naval Academy in 1912 and took his commission in the Army. He served during the conflict on the Mexican border and concluded his service during World War II. Mimi's father, who retired as a Navy captain, was a Pearl Harbor survivor. He had just come into the service when Pearl Harbor happened and served during World War II in the Pacific and North Atlantic on various ships. And he then served off the coast of Korea on various destroyers during the Korean conflict. Mimi has titled her talk, as we celebrate this Veterans Day, and somebody asked me to mention that it is the Marine Corps' 246th birthday. There should be like an oorah or something. And Mimi's title, what kind of an example are we setting to prepare the next generation for service? Mimi is joined here today by her husband, Brigadier General Phil Drew, United States Air Force retired. And the family business continues as Mimi and Phil's are joined by daughter, Captain Campbell Kramer, U.S. Air Force Reserve, who happens to be on her way towards Air Force Reserve duty at McGuire Air Force Base, along with her daughter, Hope. And the Drew son, PC, is a Lieutenant Colonel Select in the United States Marine Corps. He probably give me an oorah. And their son-in-law, married to Campbell, is also a colonel as well. We all should be very thankful for such a family's heritage towards our country's protection and service. Mimi recently was inducted into the Delaware Women's Hall of Fame in recognition of her lifetime of military service, along with her outstanding community volunteer accomplishments in retirement. Fellow Rotarians and guests, please give a very warm welcome to retired Rear Admiral Mimi Drew.
Wow. Mike, you certainly did your homework. What he left out was that we have been friends of the Summers since the year 2004, when we moved to Bethany Beach full time. And so we have had the opportunity to know the entire family and consider them part of our family as well. So I'm really glad for us to be here today to get a chance to share some of my thoughts with you all. Raise your hands if you're a veteran. Now, I know we all marched in. Okay. I come from a family, as you could tell, of veterans who are happy to observe Veterans Day with you today. Do we have any? Oh, we don't. My speech says, do we have any Marines here? But I already know we don't have. That's amazing, isn't it? Usually not only are they here, but they're loud. So maybe we could do a large hoorah in their honor. Okay, hoorah. Good. 246 years and still going strong. I also want to thank those of you that employ guardsmen or reservists in your businesses. I know it's often a sacrifice for you to support their service, their service, but I suspect that they are also among the best of your employees because they have an ethic of service to their country and to you. We tend to have fewer female veterans nowadays because, oh, thank you. Excuse me. Because when I came into the Navy, women were held by law to only 1% of the military service. And women officers were held to 5% of that 1%. So I often served at commands where there were no other women. Nowadays, actually, I would like to have our JROTC gals stand up. Would you? Thank you, ladies, for your service, and hopefully it will continue. You can sit. Nowadays, women are about 15% of the military, and they're not held by any restriction. So as to the numbers. As I told you, I was often the first female or the only female at any command. But what an opportunity that was for me to make a difference in the Navy. For example, a young woman whose ROTC interview I conducted for Navy scholarship in 1987 is now a captain in the Civil Engineer Corps, a CB, one of the first females. She has a husband, 2 children, has served in Iraq, and commanded a wartime CB battalion. A true leader in a field that wouldn't have been possible when I came into the Navy. But we both entered the Navy for the same reason. We wanted to serve. My cardiologist son has just graduated summa cum laude from law school. He was offered a starting salary of $190,000 a year in Philadelphia. Instead, he chose to become an Army JAG officer. Why on earth would he give up such a salary for probably a third of that and a life of moving around the world, sometimes to places where people are shooting at him? Why would he choose a harder life over riches? He wanted to serve. When our children were small and we lived in Northern Virginia, Fairfax County stopped observing Veterans Day. I know those of you that watch the news nowadays, that may not surprise you. But this was a long time ago, and they had decided there were too many holidays on the school calendar. So what was it they took off? Veterans Day. Well, every year, we wrote a letter to the Washington Post, and occasionally they even published it. And we wrote to the county school board and complained about the fact that they were not observing Veterans Day. And we kept our children out of school. But we didn't take them to a fun park or to the movies. We went to Fort McHenry and folded the largest flag. We went to Arlington Cemetery and visited the tomb of the unknown soldier. We went all kinds of places that would let them know that veterans are important. And years later, not only my children, but my grandchildren also observe Veterans Day. I come from a family, as many of you do, of course, of service. Whether it's a military or community service, or as Dr. David Packard of Hewlett-Packard said, the first priority of a company should be not to make a profit, but to make a contribution, to be of service. And as your Rotary founder, Paul Harris, said, whatever Rotary may mean to us, to the world, it will be known by the, sorry, by the by the results it achieves. And you all probably know that saying even better than I do. I admit to looking it up on the internet. But I find that people like that tend to want to do more to impact our society. Henry Ford. Now, you know him because he built cars and he started the assembly line. But he said himself that people thought that his job was to make cars. No, it was to develop leaders so they could make cars. Our parents are the Our world is changing before our very eyes, and not in a good way. We have gone through a pandemic, a medical pandemic, but now we're going through a pandemic of violence. So what can we do about that? Our parents are the generation that landed on the beaches at Normandy, that survived Pearl Harbor, and went on to win the Second World War. We are the parents, grandparents, and employers of our heroes of today and tomorrow. But are we doing our jobs? Or are we asleep at the switch? Are we tutoring the next generation by example, the way our parents tutored us? Or are we sitting quietly by? Now, part of the reason I asked the young women to stand up is, as the major told me, his entire group is composed of women because they stood up to the challenge. That's impressive. And good for you for encouraging them to do that. And I'd like our daughter to stand up. Campbell, I want you to kind of come out here. Uh-oh. So she can show you her uniform. Now, the reason this is important, toward the camera. The reason this is important is because, as she informed me this morning, that uniform was designed not for a man, but for a woman. It has, what did you call them? Yes, it is fitted. It is designed. When I came in, I was given a flight suit because I was in a squadron, not as a pilot, but as an admin officer. And my flight suit hung on me, and that's just the way it was. Our basic uniform had been designed by a French designer. So any of you have seen the female navy blues over the years, our dress uniform was designed by a French designer. But it's like they got out of the game after that. And so all of the uniforms now are designed for men or women. I think that is a great leap forward. It may not seem like much, but there's something about the fact that recognizing that you have men and women in the service is important. Thank you. When I was stationed on the Secretary of the Navy staff, Navy captain who was reporting aboard the staff came and made an appointment to come pay an office call on me. And I didn't know him. He was coming new to the staff. But anyway, when he came in, sat down, and I said, gosh, it's nice to meet you and welcome to this staff. And he said, I really wanted to meet you because you saved my life. And I looked at him, you know, he didn't look familiar to me. And I said, you know, do I know you? And he said, no. But he said, you gave a speech out in San Diego 3 years ago. And you talked about the importance of knowing the important things in your life. And I didn't go to the speech, but a friend of mine did. And you handed out a cheat sheet with various things you could do to impact your life, to make your life better. And some of you are familiar with Robert Fulgram's book, All I Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. Same kind of thing. And some of the things I had taken from that as well. He said, she came back. I was going through a divorce at the time, and I was pretty close to suicide. And this gal came back and she said, oh, I just went to this speech, and she gave me the handout. He put his hand in his pocket, got out his wallet, and took out a dog-eared piece of paper. And he said, those words changed my life. We must communicate with our young people, our families, our employees, and that means using every opportunity and every method available, each for the right audience, the right reason, and the right result. Don't sit silently by. Communicate by whatever means you can reach your young people. The internet and social media, for example, are hugely valuable tools, but they are just that, tools. Listening and watching for feedback from those you lead is at least as important as what you say to them. That is two-way communication. And what kind of example are you? Do you model the behavior you are trying to teach? They say integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody is looking. What we do communicates more than what we say. I'm reminded of a story told about the night in 1945 when General Dwight Eisenhower was walking outside his headquarters in Portsmouth, England, thinking of the next morning's massive D-Day landing in which he would lead the Allied armies. He met a soldier and asked him why he wasn't sleeping. The young GI, who didn't recognize the Supreme Allied commander, after all, how many times had he met him? The young GI didn't recognize him. And he said, I guess I'm a little nervous. So am I, said Eisenhower, laying a hand on the young man's shoulder. Let's walk together and perhaps we'll draw strength from one another. So maybe you could walk together with a young person in your life, teach them about service, and change the world for the better. Thank you for having me here today. If you have any questions, I think I still have time. Do you have any questions? Oh, gosh. I said it all, huh? All right. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry.
So, ma'am, recognizing that you saw the parade of veterans come in and you saw that the Navy veterans outnumbered 4-1 by the Army veterans. Do you have any advice for the Navy midshipmen that are going to be taking the field against Army in a few short weeks? Because to the Army folks that there's no way in hell Navy's going to win.
You know, I do. Oh, sorry, repeat the question. Okay, since there, I'm sorry, Jackie told me that and I forgot. Since the Army folks outnumber the Navy folks walking in here today, do I have any thoughts about how Army-Navy game might go this year? Well, based upon the fact that Air Force and Notre Dame both beat them, and during the Notre Dame game, their quarterback injured his shoulder, and I don't know how he's doing now. But normally I would say, in any other normal football game, I would say, well, Navy's chances are not good, and so Army will probably win. But my grandfather graduated from the Naval Academy. My dad was in the Navy. I was born in the Naval Academy Hospital, and Army-Navy game never does what you think it's going to do. So I would say, go Navy. Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, sorry, yes. I noticed that.
But I do have a concern about all our armed forces, readiness, advancement in technology.
The question was basically, how are we doing in the military today and in the Navy, and are we keeping up, and what's the status of our readiness? That is really a good question. And well, those of you who have served will understand my answer. When I heard the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff talking about the fact that the Chinese will be a problem sometime probably in the next 15, 20 years, I was looking, I'm sorry, at an Army guy who had no clue. The Chinese have been a problem and continue, and all they're doing is getting better. So are we ready today? I think we're being a lab for a whole lot of things that, while they may be important, are not as important as military readiness. And I think that's true for all of the services. It's not a positive thing. On the other hand, we continue to have wonderful young people who come, who serve, and we have wonderful people in command as well, just not all of them. We need to be concerned, and we need to encourage our military to maintain military readiness. We need to encourage our senators and our congressmen to provide for the military budget, but we also need to write letters and talk to people about the fact that the world is not perfect. It never has been, but we do not gain anything by sticking our heads under the rug and pretending it is. That, yeah. Anybody else? Yes.
What is your opinion on women register for selective service?
What is my opinion on women needing to register for selective service? My husband is over there chuckling. At one point, my reserve job was working for the director of selective service. This was a long time ago, and I was a lieutenant. And you ladies will appreciate this, since you're involved in what's going to happen. At that time, everything was going really well. The lottery system was working okay. And for those who are old enough to remember it, and it was going fine. The head of selective service, who was an Army general, said to me, we have trouble getting free publicity now because, everything's going so well. And so it's hard for us to, get our names out there and whatnot without having to pay for it. And he said, do you have any ideas about that? And I said, I absolutely do. I said, we need to be drafting women. I can't even tell you the expression on his face. I mean, you can imagine that was a Pandora's box he did not want to open. However, if we are going to say that we believe in equality, we believe that women are as good as men, maybe even better, but I didn't say that. If we believe in equality, then we need to be stepping up to the plate as well. So I am in favor of women registering for the draft as well. Now, I will add one thing, and that is the draft covers 2 years now. You come in for 2 years. All of our training is so extensive now that people coming in for 2 years don't really do us any good. By the time they train, they're going to be out. And that's why most of our enlistments are 4, 6, 10 years for docs, things like that. So I believe that women and men both should register for the draft. I'm just not sure that the draft fits our needs anymore. Anybody else? Well, I thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being with you today. And thank you, Mike and Jackie.
Thank you, Mimi. Thank you for your service, your leadership, your passion, the legacy that you're leaving for generations to come. In honor of Mimi speaking today, she signed the book plate for the book Epic Athlete Simone Biles by Dan Wetzel, which we'll present to Martin Library. Next week, our speakers will be Fred Walker and Anthony Moore of Four Squares Development, founded a year ago to address the significant need for improving the socioeconomic conditions of York City's historically disadvantaged neighborhoods using a holistic revitalization approach. They've engaged local businesses, nonprofit organizations, and academic institutions to collaboratively engage in for-profit residential development that promotes home ownership and local employment. Before we leave today, I would like to draw your attention to the Fallen Comrades table set in honor of the men and women who have valiantly served our nation. Today, we remember 2 of our fallen heroes who have passed since our last Veterans Day, Henry Kirkpatrick and Art Cayley. These 2 brave men were the very last World War II veterans from our club, and we'll quietly remember them now. In closing, our quote by Charles Rangel, honoring the sacrifices many have made for our country in the name of freedom and democracy is the very foundation of Veterans Day. Rotarians, I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you again, guests, for joining us. This meeting is adjourned.